Welcome to Island Tea with your faves. Keep it locked in with us for your daily dose of hot tea only on WINNMedia 98.9.
Good morning, and welcome to another episode of Island Tea with your faves, Kevon and Azem, featuring Jade, Gwen Johnson.
Morning.
Kevon!
Have no fear, for I am here.
Say that again?
No, you spoiled it.
How everybody doing?
Not bad.
Well,
This week hasn't been too bad actually.
oh,
We're
nice.
not good.
I'm hot.
Yeah, besides that.
I'm hot.
Hot.
I don't know if you're that kind of hot. Jade, why you in the people see us?
Oh. I'm sorry.
It happens to the best of us. But,
Does it?
Look, I'm supporting Jade today.
You can support without pulling me down.
Well,
What are we supporting me for? Just because?
just because,
Okay.
Jade. We don't need no other reason.
I'm just making sure. Like there's nothing that I didn't remember.
We're co-hosts, we're happy and we're singing and we're colored.
Give me a high
Give me a
five.
high five. Okay.
I'm gonna give about five seconds to figure out what you forget. That you don't forget.
Maybe that's why they wasn't seeing us.
You had ample time.
Anyway, y'all talk until I come back.
Okay. Well, it is Wednesday, hump day,
Don't
July
let that
14th,
again.
and the
I will
time
try
is 8:06 a.m.
It is.
So,
We've made it to
halfway
Wednesday.
there.
Yeah, we've made it to Wednesday. Hasn't been too bad of a week, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. Could be worse.
You have life.
We indeed have life.
Remember that. You have life.
You're blessed.
Once you have that, nothing else matters.
Okay. I know about all
But
that
that's
now.
That's how it does make it sound.
That's true. Which I don't know why, because like you could have life, but your life is completely miserable. So I don't know about the, at least you have life thing. But so you go.
Anyway, so I can't even wrap my head around thinking about that. So it is Wednesday hump day, and let us start off, jump right into your Is it a part of tea time? Yeah, I think. Yeah, tea time. Hee hee. So let's jump right into your daily COVID update.
COVID update, yes. Yeah, give us the
So
COVID update.
I had to do a dramatic pause. So let's jump right into it. So your COVID-19 situation report for the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis as of Tuesday, 13th July, 6 p.m. is confirmed cases in the last 24 hours, 2. Active cases now stands at 114. Number of cases between both islands is at 540. The number of cases for St. Kitts is 522. For Nevis, we have 18. Recovered cases, we have 423. And we have 3 deaths. No additions to that total. So
Yeah, we're well on our way with the recoveries.
yeah,
I'm excited
we're
for
getting
that.
closer. We're getting closer to going to a double-digit active case standpoint versus the triple digits. Because like a week ago we were bordering 200. The week before that we were past 200. Now we're about to hit like the 99 mark in a few days, hopefully.
Hopefully,
So,
yes.
Let's
Yeah,
keep
let's
it
expect to
going.
see. The decrease is maybe the continuing trend, or do you think we can just kind of plateau based on the fact that we open back up?
Well, if I'm looking at other countries, like it seems like they always have this time when they are decreasing, and then something happens and then they increase again. So it's left to see.
Yeah, I don't see how we could have had no cases at one point. Then we have a breach, jump up to like almost 300 cases active. Lockdown to get it down to 200. And then not expect it to either plateau there or go back up once we open up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think I don't think the spread would be as intense because I think people know now that
So people could get together.
So
And
I think people would adjust their behavior.
Yeah.
Obviously not
wasn't
everybody, but I think more people than would have been the case when we had 0 cases being reported.
Hopefully, because
Heighten the awareness.
I think the awareness would change, would cause some change in behavior for at least some people.
Because I was just about to say, like, what was I just about to say?
That people still wailing. That's what I was about to say.
That too, but I feel like it was something else. I don't know. When you come back, I can say it. But yeah, like, I hope people learn from this. Oh, I remember. I was about to say, like, because we can't depend on locking down. That's not going to work ever, so.
Well, it would work. It depends on what the goal is. If your goal is to get to 0, locking down would work.
Yeah, but we can't lock down every time.
And the thing is, too, the reason why we...
like, every time we have cases, it ain't going to make no sense for us to just be like, oh, we have cases, locked down.
No, I think...
Right.
No, I think the argument for some people in regards to extended lockdown would be that we enjoyed 9 months without any community spread. So if we were to get back to a point where we are able to get rid of the cases that are active, just like we did a year ago, then we would be able to then bolster the defenses and then continue. The issue with that is not sound thinking. I do believe though that there's changes from what was previously happening in terms of being able to limit how people enter the country. I think we're moving away from that, which would make sense. Like, when I say make sense, it would make the two of them go hand in hand. So you can't say we're not going to lock down and then still be quarantining people, I guess.
Oi.
See what I'm saying?
No.
Okay. So think about it this way. And like, again, this is not my personal argument, but it will come up in discussion with people. So there's some people who believe that what we should do is to basically lock down, limit movement, until we get to a point where we have no community spread, as we have done in the past. The argument for that is once we got to that point, we realized we had 9 months without any type of case in the community, right? So they're saying the only way that the lockdowns even make sense is if we take it to the point where we can then get to that point. Now, my response to that is, yeah, but the truth is other things are changing. The other things that are changing is that we change in the way in which we allow people to enter the community to begin with. Right? So, that being said, it's difficult to say, well, let's do the two then, in terms of let's open up, but then still be quarantining people because it's already in the community then. You understand? Even though, again, that's not my personal view. People saying there is like, Corona done around, it's done in the community.
No.
So why when I come in, I got to quarantine 14 days, or 9 days, or 3 days, or 4 days. Let me either home quarantine. No. The argument
quarantine is quarantine.
And a lot of people are saying, well, if I come with a negative test, I should be able to do that, and then I could just take another test. But I'm already in the community.
You should be able to do what?
To integrate into the community. This is what's happening in a lot of the other countries. Like, you have a negative test, you integrate directly into the community without having a quarantine period. Some countries have it where you have to do multiple tests, but you could integrate.
Yeah, but for countries like those, right, do we see cases spiking after this thing has been put in place? Like, have they been going up in cases, or is just like nothing? But
bear in mind that some of these places, they really never locked down, so they've just been dealing with it similarly to how we're dealing with it now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like the argument, like I said, the argument is more where there's already corona in the community. If I come to your country with a negative test, why I can't integrate into the community? I could just as well catch it there as wherever coming from.
That's what. I mean, I kind of understand what they're saying, but still, I feel like
and what we see too is a lot of countries fluctuate. Like,
but I think that's what we're gonna get.
A lot of countries never lock down, but we see them fluctuating their curfews to try to mitigate all this spread. But for us as a nation to think that we're always going to have a lockdown in the back pocket to stop all of this is a bit absurd, because it can't keep happening. This two week sort of knocked a lot of people back on their butts when they were trying to recover from the last 9 months.
So let me ask you a question. Do you believe that there is a trigger point at which lockdown becomes necessary, or is it just that we should not have lockdowns at all?
I guess if it comes to a point where like community spread has literally taken down our health system to the point that we can't manage, I feel like then that would make sense. So,
you see, the reason for that is that I believe that's exactly what the government did this past lockdown. Remember when the community spread, we even had people right here in the studio saying they should have locked down a week ago, they should have locked down 2 weeks ago, they should have locked down.
We're going to always have that.
Right, so I'm saying is they basically, to me, it seemed that though they had some trigger point. They said, watch here, the cases them getting kind of tense, guys. We got some hospitalizations. I think it was between 30 and 45% or something like that there in the COVID ward, right? We probably need to lock it down. So what I'm saying is, why we feel like it ain't gonna get back there, and then because we hear saying that
no, we don't. I don't think we say it won't get back there. We just say we can't just depend on that.
But that's what I'm saying. What else? Like to me, we didn't just depend on that the last time.
I know. I wasn't saying that we did. I was just saying in future for people who think that the lockdown is the end all be all for all these things. It can't happen every time. I wasn't saying that that's what the
So you're not saying that we can't have a lockdown 2 weeks from now?
No.
Or we shouldn't have a lockdown 2 weeks from now? Because that's the argument a lot of people will be saying. Like, we can't just depend on lockdown. We can't. But my thing is, but we didn't.
I know. That's what I'm saying. We can't. I'm not saying that we did. I'm saying that we can't.
But the problem is that I think a lot of people said that using the previous actions as the benchmark.
No, that's not what I was.
You see what I'm saying? No, not you. But I'm saying, like, people would use the previous benchmark because they're saying we can't just depend on lockdown every time we got them in lockdown, but they're speaking about the past lockdown we just had.
Yeah, but some
Right.
people aren't.
Yeah, but
We can always. I feel like we're gonna always have this debate. Like, if there was ever a time in the future, God forbid, that we have to do this again, this is going to be the same debate, the same argument. So,
but I
what
think
can we do?
we could talk. That's that's what we need to do. We could talk because I do believe that through the conversations, and again, I think the conversations need to come from the conversations that should be had between people who have similar interests. They might have different ways of going about it, but when you have similar interests, like what is good for the country, and we could figure out how we weigh certain things, how we weigh the economics, how we weigh certain things. Bear in mind that I also believe that this is why I kept saying that it's important for us to learn from the experience we just had, to bolster the resistance of the country so that we wouldn't be able to get to the point where we were, where we felt we needed to lock down. I don't believe the government, well, it's not believe. We saw community spread happening, we saw schools closing, we saw all this happening, we didn't lock down. People in the public calling, why we ain't locking down, why we ain't locking down? But obviously there had to be some trigger point that would trigger the lockdown. We got to whatever point that was, or maybe it might have been the same public pressure, but whatever it was, they didn't lock down from the start. They locked down after. You understand where I'm coming from?
You know.
So,
you know what's
so what needs to happen is we need to learn from that previous experience, put things in place to bolster the country's resistance to the situation we're in. Because we ain't out yet. We still have 100 and something active cases, right? So we need to bolster the resistance, whether it is bolstering the compliance team, the task force from a enforcement standpoint, whether it is we need to bolster access to testing, whether it is we need to bolster the quarantine procedures or change protocols, whether it is at the ports or at businesses. We need to learn from whatever it was. What were the things that caused this thing to spread the way it spread, so that even though we have cases now, we don't see that level of spread now that we're opening it back again. And even if we do, we're in a position where we could manage it enough that we don't have to get to the point to lockdown. Because a lot of people just going, we can't lock down because it was difficult for a lot of people in terms of work and economics and stuff like that. But we need to talk about, okay, we didn't just lock down the last time. So how are we, so you're just saying that, it seems to me like you're saying, but whatever happened.
Actually, that's a lot of people.
And that's what I'm saying. That's a lot of people.
Which is very scary, actually.
That's a lot of people's point of view. So what happened? So to me, the conversations need to be had, and it needs to be had between people who are sympathetic to all these different areas. You can't just be people who are watching like, but things hard for me. They can't decide they're lucky now. You understand? So hopefully that is what's happening. Hopefully we're learning from the past experience. We're putting things in place, whether it is we need another COVID ambulance, we need more COVID EMTs, whether it is we need to employ, and I've been calling for this since last March, people. We need rapid tests. Yes, they're not 100%, but it's better than nothing, and it gives you an indication.
I don't understand.
I think incorporating the rapid test into the society is huge. When we're talking about
what we see in a lot of the metropoles is we see countries like, in the US, they have drive-through rapid testing and it's free. So you literally don't have to leave your car. You don't have to get anybody out of the way. You literally just drive through an area. You are stopped. You are swabbed. You are given your test results within, whether they text it to you rapidly, whether they whatever, they get you the information. And that way just gives you not only a peace of mind, but gives you the opportunity to know whether you need to do something else after that. Because you don't feel anything, you feel fine. And then 2 minutes later, you get your text, you've tested positive for COVID. Now the government not only has ways to contact you to say, hey, we need you to isolate or whatever, but you also know what you need to do. It now lets you know, I'm on my way home. Maybe I shouldn't stop home because people are at home that I could make sick. There's so many ways that could help. Then we see countries like the UK where they literally give you boxes of rapid tests for you to take home and test yourself. And they are everywhere. And
Yes.
it's not only, yes, you're giving people the responsibility on their own, but having that as an avenue will
Bro,
do so much.
this is the thing for me, right? Yes, the rapid tests aren't 100%. So what I mean, don't just like how that's the same argument people making for the vaccine. I could still get the virus even though I got the vaccine. Nothing is 100%. But all of these things are things that we use to mitigate the risk. It's another layer of protection. Like when we're talking about where people could go from where people can't go.
Yeah, that was my
Like
whole
this
thing.
is a thing that we could use to try and help that situation. All the conversation about where unvaccinated could go and where vaccinated could go. To me, and I'm being totally honest with you. To me, that there, I don't like it at all.
Yeah.
I don't like it at all.
Hate it.
And so for me, it's like, because the argument is going to be, oh, well, you can say vaccinated people still carry and transmit the virus? Yes. Okay, so what? It's the risk are less? Yes. Okay, then, well, let's do this. In order for me to come in as an unvaccinated people, let me do a rapid test. The rapid test ain't 100% either, but at least it's another layer of protection.
Yeah, I don't feel like we should be segregating people because they decided not to or they can't. Like, I don't understand how people keep forgetting that there are people who literally cannot get vaccinated. So why are we going to make their lives harder and make them feel like they're not a part of society because they can't do something?
One word, fear.
I hate it.
Yeah.
One word, fear.
Like, you can't.
And it's not,
and
and fear is necessary. The problem is that we can't continually make decisions based solely on fear. You understand where I'm coming from? Like, you need to acknowledge the fear, acknowledge the threat, and then you find ways to deal with the threat. Like,
other ways, there are ways we can do it besides telling them like, oh, you can't go to events, you can't enter this place, you can't work here. Like, come on.
Right.
and even if that's the decision, fine. My problem is, again, nobody seems to be willing to draw the line. Where's the line? Where is the line? If you decide that people like unvaccinated people can't go to a sporting event, do I believe that is unfortunate? Yes, but I ain't gonna argue. I ain't gonna make that a huge argument, because as much as you want to think, you could watch the game on TV. You could watch. There's
There are
ways
ways to watch,
right?
Yeah.
So as much as I would not agree with the policy, it's like, okay, the powers that be made that policy, fine, abide. My problem is that why is nobody willing to come out and say, like, even in cases where there's discussion about vaccinated versus unvaccinated and what they're allowed to do, that there are just certain things that we will not allow that separation to be brought up. Why nobody want to say it? And again, it's easy for us at this point to say it's not a conversation to be had, because we just feel that certain things ain't possible. So it's like, oh, they ain't gonna say, well, unvaccinated people can't go to the health center. Oh, they're going to say unvaccinated people can't go to the beach. They're going to say that, yeah. They're going to say unvaccinated people can't go to the bank. They're going to say unvaccinated people can't go to the supermarket. Who tell you that? In 2019, nobody could have convinced me that they closed down the entire world.
True.
Exactly.
But it seems like some people want to join the conversation, so let's take some calls.
Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T. What's up?
Oh, they left. I'm sorry.
I feel like that line here being trouble.
No, I think that was just there for a while now.
Okay.
But yeah, like you honestly can't just continue to say like, okay, they can't do this, they can't do that, they can't do this. Like, we forget we're dealing with human beings here. We're just seeing them as unvaccinated people. Like, how why are we just categorizing people like this now?
This and the problem is that it feels not just a matter of separation, but segregation to the point where there's almost two tiers. So because you have because you've done this, then you have a certain level of access that other people don't have, and I think that's unfortunate. So I think we need to find ways to lessen those instances, and somebody need to be able to say straight up, okay, that is not cool here, but nobody wants to say it. Good morning, caller. You're live on Island T.
Yes. Good morning.
Yes, sir. How you doing, bro?
You feel like a new year, so we say like, wow, Happy New Year. Yeah, Jade.
Good morning.
I like your style, and cup of tea, what you say. You can't be white cup of tea and not a mug, you bless up Martin still. That's the man.
Yes,
Unless
sir.
you want up same way.
Yes, I
Respect.
blessings.
Anyway, I'm glad you are on that topic with the unvaccinated and the vaccinated, but we're still human, no matter how you put it.
Yes, I.
But this talk is gonna go until people understand what the system is all about. Cause it's a system, and somehow you got to go with the system. And I'm gonna say this: majority rule. Anyway you put it. Which you know, Jade, if you 17 and you have a dance at 18 and older, you can argue the point to go in the dance because you look big and you look mature.
No, I can't do that because that's not a health reason. I can only argue against health reasons. So I'm saying, even though that there are people who refuse because of choice, there are people who just can't because of health reasons. So are we going to make their lives hard because they just can't put something in their body?
No, I did not say that. But how the system is, if you... Because yesterday I heard a speech from someone in Nevis. He said they're going to have something in September with vaccinated people only into the function.
Yeah.
And from there, it caused a little buzz.
Mm-hmm.
But when they go through and do it, people going to just stop. Because if you ain't vaccinated, you cannot go. If you're vaccinated, you're going. And this is what we have to live going forward. Don't care how you put it, because it ain't just in saying it's a lot of people just waking up and listening to saying it's news.
Mm.
You got to listen in the outer world, because Turkey, the other day just decided that they do not want nobody in the Olympic stadium. Them watch it from home, and a lot of people they done already bought the tickets. So we got to understand right now going forward, we got to live with tough decision. You think you're going to do something tomorrow, today? Before a minister speak and something lockdown, whatever, we got to live with it, guys. Tough decision, we got to live going forward in the world, like the whole world, not just saying it's a Nevis.
Right.
So you got to make up your mind right now how to live going forward.
Gotcha.
We can't do nothing about it. We're going to just stop. We cannot do nothing about it.
Mm.
We're going to argue the point, but still, either you want to do this or you want to do that going forward. Because people can make the decision for the dance or whatever, and if you ain't shot a card, you can go.
Gotcha.
Or me vaccinated, and they say this thing going on with only vaccinated people. I ain't going there to try argue no point.
I got you.
That ain't make no sense. I don't stay with my ID, and if I could watch it on TV, I watch it.
Right.
And the next thing, one more thing I want to say before I go. People on the WhatsApp, the Facebook, etc. Like, is the friend Jade, you take the vaccine, and they're putting up on the status and the Facebook page, Instagram, etc. I don't take the vaccine on dead in this time and dead, and like, how you all see that? Like, you ain't see it as like you friend or you people them like maybe counting on your debt.
Bye.
Not necessarily.
Bye.
For me personally, I view that
So what
wanting
then?
to be I just feel it's something like they just want to be a
Anyway.
little bit, you know. I think it's more for views and a social media like performance, because a lot of these people have taken the vaccine, but they haven't told anybody, but they do this just because they want the attention on social media.
That's probably part of it, though. But I get what you're saying,
Yeah,
brothers.
But I get what you're saying,
whether we take it or not, we still human, but we gonna live like brother and sister still. But within certain thing within the system, even though you travel certain place, and they say vaccinated only, you in a different island, you gonna even can't go. Cause you ain't vaccinated, you cannot go. So maybe you might argue the point in saying this, but when you travel, you got to go with the rules also. Because it's just not a sink, it's a Navy thing. It's a whole world thing.
Yeah.
I give thanks. I will give somebody else a chance. Bless up.
Yeah, man. Bless. See, my thing is though, like, again, as much as I may not agree with the policy, let me put it this way. I believe that there's ways to continually mitigate the risk of unvaccinated people entering into some of these situations. Once it's something that isn't considered essential, like, I'm not going to hang my hat on it, right? I'm not going to hang my hat on it in terms of an argument. No. The problem I'm having again is the fact that we're saying these things, but people seem to be afraid to recognize that we have to be clear as to where these lines of separation will end.
Yep.
Now, Burger, like, okay, the caller, he used an example there. Like, if you go to a dance 17 and over and you abide by the rules and whatever. Like, the difference with that is that it is deemed that what is happening in here isn't appropriate for certain people coming in. And so it's really to protect the people that may want to enter, that may want to partake. And it's like it's deemed not appropriate in most cases. That's normally where you have these age limits and stuff like that, and certain other limits. It's not necessarily going, we want you to contaminate me. That's a whole different dynamic.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's a whole different dynamic. Right? The same thing, you go to the movies, it's based, the allowance is based on, well, what is happening here may not be we are protecting you from being exposed to something that you may not be ready to be exposed to. It's not about saying, but we want you to come here, come expose us here. Based on some arbitrary thing. You understand? So I think that's a difference that needs to be thing. But like I'm saying is, I don't like the fact that we seem to all be going along having this conversation and assuming that there's
some cutoff point?
Activities and things, because and I think we need to be mindful of that. That's all I'm saying. I ain't making the argument that, for instance, CPL, do I believe that there's ways that CPL could have managed to safely integrate unvaccinated people into it? Yes, I believe so.
Yep.
But I ain't jumping down nobody's throat for that deal. You understand? At the end of the day, it's cricket. A lot of people would have loved to be included, and the truth is, there's already a limit as to how many people would go in the first place. Right?
Half.
So they're already at half capacity. So they're doing it's not simply, but if you're vaccinated, you can go. Also, there's a limit on tickets, so some people ain't going to get to go, even if you're vaccinated and you wanted to go. You understand? So I'm not arguing that. My thing is, where do we draw the line?
We've been asking that for months, and I've yet to witness the answer, so I don't know.
Right, so that's one argument, and the second before you come in, Kevon, and the second argument is also, if we want to create a situation where that separation does not exist, there's ways to also mitigate the obvious risk. Right? Again, nothing is 100%. Just like the vaccine 100%, you tell me the rapid testing 100%, then so the question now is, you can't be making an argument for the vaccine then.
Yep.
Right? So it's just like we say with the vaccine, it's another layer of protection that allows us to function more like the society that we want to see, as opposed to the society that we feel necessary based on a fear.
Bro, this is not, anyway, take the corner that we're going to talk about, because I don't understand.
Carl, good morning, you're live on Island T. What's up?
Yeah, that's good.
You were saying, Kevon, sorry.
Yeah, I was saying that specifically Kitishans and divisions, we're very individualistic, and a lot of like it's difficult for me to see us drawing the line, because we think about individual benefits than, group benefits, because everybody's mindset is, if we have to boycott something, nobody's going to say boycott because we're going to get our point across and we're going to get better things. Everybody's saying, but boy, if I boycott, I can come buy mid dress this weekend, or if I can't go, me and get the money to cut my hair.
Bye.
And that does make us very individualistic, because we stop thinking as a group and start silently thinking about each other. But we carry on loud and big in public, but then when the truth is, we're actually thinking about ourselves and how we're gonna be at a disadvantage in this temporary moment.
Yeah. We have a call on the line. Caller, good morning. You're live on LNT.
Good morning, folks.
Morning.
I detect a kind of meeting of the mind, so to speak, on among you on what needs to be done going forward. I think for a long time we were stuck in the fantasy world, basically, because we were COVID-free for such a long time. And we got the feeling that we were either immune or we were doing something right that others weren't doing. When all it was really was pure luck. That's what it really was. And let's hope that we learn the right lessons and investigate, as you said, to determine what protocols might need to be changed going forward to prevent the kind of community spread and to prevent what happened in the first place from happening again. And yes, more testing, right, including rapid testing, okay, in order to be proactive in identifying the virus, whether the virus is here or not, whether it's in the community or not, and as opposed to being more reactive. The more layers of protection, as you said, we have, the better. And my question, though, don't you think they can share the information on the triggers that you spoke about, what triggers particular responses? For it seems to me that they have been going along winging it and, basically saying, well, there's no playbook. And so we take it basically a day at a time, see what happens. But if they have triggers, why can't it be shared with the public so that, we can anticipate too where we are, what more stringent precautions we need to take, and so help, because individually, yes, it's individual responsibility, but individually we can help the collective approach to things. Okay.
All right, man. Thanks a lot. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think I think we share that similar sentiment. Something we've been expressed here, that whatever the thresholds are, and of course, I do believe that they can't be too hard and fast, because it kind of depends on how the mix all comes together. So, for instance, let's say we have a situation where one of the triggers has to do with the rate of spread. One of the triggers has to do with the overall active cases. One of the triggers has to do with hospitalizations, right? And one of the triggers might actually be something like if we detect, because this is another thing that I think we need to do. Powers that be, listen up. We need to constantly be testing for new variants.
Yeah.
Right.
Agreed.
Yeah. So we need to be taking those things that take. Where was that? Like 3.5 weeks the last time. We need to be sending out them samples there pretty regularly.
Just to make sure,
No, just so we understand what it is that we're dealing with. Right. We keep I don't do this, but there are persons who refer to this situation as a war. And to me, if you're in a general, because you got certain tools and weapons that you could be using and you're using them. But anyway, like I said, so in terms of the triggers, I don't think it'll be hard and fast. If we hit this amount in this or that, it can be a mix. But we should know that these are the considerations. So if they're saying if the COVID ward get above, we get between, and I think it'll be ranges. So let's say you get between 50 and 60%, then it triggers us to look at the situation. So, okay, it can't just be just 50 and 60% by itself and we have 0 active cases. Then perhaps that don't trigger lockdown. But if we have 50 to 60% at the COVID ward and we have 100 and something cases and the rate of transmission is such and such, obviously upward trend or whatever, then these mix of things then trigger a certain response, so that the public understands. So it as a matter of fact, this thing we'll be sitting down talking about, why Timo don't come and talk to us, and you can wait until Friday night or whatever. No, I could actually be watching the thing and say, yo, watch you. We're getting kind of close to the triggers here, guys. I think we might need to prepare for lockdown.
Not just keep having people wait and wonder and, assume.
I think there needs to be a lot more communication and let people know, like, more information in terms of what is happening. Guys, we've seen a surge in people showing up to be tested. There could be a possibility that there is about to be an increase in cases. When people have that type of information, they can react accordingly. But if you sort of just leave them in the dark and then say, hey, lockdown, then everybody's all frantic and panicking. And, there's a lot, like, people don't have time to adjust their behaviors.
Kevon, you're a resident Googler. So what I want you to Google for us is the difference between data and information.
Ooh.
The reason for this is I've been making the argument that instead of getting a lot of information, we may be getting a lot of data. But go ahead, Kevon.
I have it. My fingers are fast and I have Google.
Yes.
So data is raw, unorganized facts that needs to be processed. Data can be something simple and seemingly random and useless until it is organized. Information is when data is processed, organized, structured, or presented in a given context to make it useful. That is when it becomes information.
So what would you guys classify the situation report as, data or information?
I think it's data.
So perhaps as it relates to the numbers.
I think it's data.
So perhaps it relates to the numbers. We need more information, and I'll leave that there.
Yeah, I think so. I was.
I stop reading them. I stop reading. I stop reading. Yeah, serious. I stop reading.
Oh Lord, I was thinking about something that we were being told for months upon months, right? That
this show is the best show besides
that. They kept saying that, we need to get back to some sense of normalcy and all of these things. But normalcy ain't starting to feel like it's only going to be normal for one set of people.
I mean, in terms of the vaccinated thing?
Yeah, because if that's the only thing you're basing these decisions on, I just really starting to feel like, okay, normalcy ain't going to look the same for vaccinated people and unvaccinated people.
Okay. I just think that what we need to really, and I know this is something a lot of people are going to struggle with wrapping their heads around, myself included, is that where we were in 2019 is not going to come back anytime soon. And I think, we are looking for normal in terms, we think normal, we think in 2019, we are not going back to that at any time soon. Things are going to change and have already changed. And the new normal might not be what we were at a few years ago. So I think we really need to understand that we just need to, we maybe need to start adapting and doing things the way things are now than trying to constantly fight things to go back to 2019.
Right. What was interesting to me, I've been following The Economist. What did they call themselves, a newspaper?
I thought I meant actually. Okay.
No, The Economist, right? They have actually come up with a metric to measure normalcy, and I've been following it. And the reason I found that so interesting is because I don't necessarily. I'm one of them people who talk about go back to some sense of normalcy and new normal and the truth is there are a lot of things that have changed as a result of COVID that may really necessarily want us to go back to.
Yeah, because it was a filthy nation, honestly.
Not only that. Look at the amount of people who, because of the pandemic, have been forced to do things like online shopping, to do things like paying the bills online, to do things like. So I think these are things that we have to go back. Look how much people are now more self-aware about where their hands have been and where they put in them. I don't say that's a bad thing.
No, definitely not.
So I think we have to, again, figure out what the world we want looks like, and then move towards bringing that into a reality. As a nation, we need to figure out what that looks like.
Yeah.
And then we make a plan to get there. Like, that's what need to happen. I am not trying to go back to what 2019 was and whatever.
Yeah, like that wasn't even
at one, like Kevon is saying, that in itself is impossible.
impossible.
Right? So I am not on that and return to normalcy and some sense of
Because
no.
that's the thing.
We need to define what normal. We need to define what normalcy will be.
Yeah, because I'm like, for the
And I
last
think what we need
year
to
and a
do
half,
too,
it's
and
not been normal.
I not only blame individuals, but I blame entities. A lot of entities are saying things like, oh, you know, do this and that so we could return to normal. And I think giving people that false hope of going back to where we were pre-pandemic is just, it's not doing any good. I think we need to really cut out that narrative that we're going back to, 2019, because it's not going to happen.
And the truth is,
like I said, I don't blame individuals alone, because yes, individuals are saying, oh, we're back to normal, but corporations, some of the taglines are back to normal, and I'm just like, it's not happening,
bro. And the thing for me is, it's a trick. It's a hologram. The reason is, normal for me, the way I define normal, and when I hear new normal, I might be thinking about something totally different to you, Jade. And not only that, it changes, and it changes based on whatever we're talking about and whatever.
Exactly.
So it's like normal for everybody
normal
different.
that we were talking about last year when this whole pandemic happened is no longer the normal we're talking about now, and it wasn't the normal we're talking about 4 months ago. The normal keeps evolving based on what's happening.
Let's put it this way: when we hear about return to normalcy, if I said that there to 100 people, bet your life all 100 people have a different metric by how they measure what normalcy is. So it might be for some people being able to go back out to events and party and fets. For some people it might be just being able to work.
For some people, it might be being able to hop on a plane with not having to plan 3 days in advance. All these things.
So it might be can I travel without quarantining? So like when you say these things, it's like it's so broad and vague. I think you do a disservice when you constantly use that as some sort of incentive.
Because it is definitely
because we have not defined what normalcy is in the first place.
And I don't think we can right now.
And I think the thing is, what makes it difficult is that people don't know what we're going for. Somebody sent me something last week of the Cayman Islands. They had put out a phased reopening and what it looks like. And they've been saying, they put out phases so you could see phase 1 all the way to phase 6, which is the end of it, and it's going through the list of saying, what's going to happen in each phase, and that gives people a visual and a mental picture of what things are going to look like. When you tell people let's go back to a state of normalcy, and you have presented what that might look like, people just kind of like, that's like trying to find a doorknob in a dark room. But hey, I know what that means.
What?
No, you don't know what it means, man. We're good. But no, I just feel like we're gonna need to really work together. You check. We're gonna really need to work together to define what is it that we want to see. What is it that we want to see, and
how we can make life.
And how we get to that. If it's a phased approach, if it's a whatever it is, I think if we do that, we recognize that we cannot have a future where some people have access to certain things and some people don't.
Yeah, like
perhaps in the interim, that's what we need. But then we would need to know, well, what is it that triggered the change? We need to know what is like where do we draw the lines? What things are these people denied from accessing because of their status? Like these are the things that we need to be discussing.
Not just saying.
And we need clarity.
Yeah, you can't just say, well, they can't go to this or they can.
And not use it as some sort of carrot on a stick.
Right?
I hate that they're like this kind of carrot on a stick. Like, you guys want to walk up? Vaccinate.
Yeah, like the
like, yo.
The end all be all cannot, everything cannot just be vaccinated.
But
Obviously.
but my thing is, even if that is your, like, if that is the position and the thing that you want to push, which is, I understand, like, we've been here encouraging people to do the same, right? Jade, you ain't hot. Anyway.
As a message, don't catch it.
So this is why. Watch your way here chilling, jiggy, you know, Jade. Hasn't turn up that there, boy. Yes, he gone up now.
You're boiling. Your sins. My hands go still now.
Yeah, you got a problem.
So I'm gonna read the phase reopening the Cayman had because I think it's great, truthfully. And the thing is, I'm looking at this knowing that things might be subject to change. However, it gives me an idea of what things could look like if things go the way they can go. So phase 1 is stated as phase 1, reduced quarantine period, and they said effective June 2021. They've outlined what that means. Continued uptake of local vaccination and low COVID-19 prevalence rates in key Cayman Island travel markets, which will allow for the introduction of reduced quarantine periods and easing of other travel restrictions. Is that not clear what phase 1 is?
Okay, so hold on, Kevon. What you're saying is that not only did they provide a date as a target, but we also looked at what it would be that would trigger movement onto the next phase. In other words, what are we trying to achieve and by when?
You mean they make sense? let me do a Choxy. Because
Oh, you serious this morning? Oh, y'all ain't be serious this morning. What is this?
Phase 2 is reduced repatriation restrictions, effective August 2021. There's a date there, but I can't see. It's kind of blurry. I think it's August 9th. Easing of monitoring of vaccinated travelers by removal of GPS monitoring, which allows the CIG to access local impacts and build capacity to manage the increase of traveler volume anticipated with the reopening of the borders in phase 3. So what they've also done, which is mind-blowing to me, is link phase 2 to phase 3. So you're telling me that if phase 2 goes according to plan, phase 3 can happen? Phase 3, limited introduction of tourism, effective 9th of September 2021. What does that mean? They've outlined it, subject to the achievement of 80% vaccination rate.
Subject to.
Let me repeat that part.
Subject to.
Subject to the achievement of the 80% vaccination rate, the limited introduction of tourism during slow season with some restrictions, and they put in parentheses, including a flight slot management system, allows the Cayman Islands government to limit the number of persons arriving. This also allows the CIG and the industry to develop capacity for dealing with larger volumes of travelers in preparation for high season. So not only have they noticed, they've acknowledged that they have a slow season and a high season for tourism. And what they're saying is, let us use this slow season to prepare and learn how we are going to handle high volume people. But this can only happen if we achieve the 80%. If it doesn't happen, then guess what? We can't move on to the next phase. Oh my gosh, this makes so much sense. Phase 4, reduce quarantine restrictions. And again, they've slapped a date on it. Effective 14th of October. Quarantine requirements will be removed for all securely verified vaccinated travelers. It is anticipated that the rate of local vaccination will be substantially adequate to allow for the safe increase of tourism and further relaxation of restrictions.
Have they specified that these things will only happen to people who are vaccinated?
Yeah, everything is saying vaccinated. They haven't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unvaccinated travelers.
Yeah.
But which is what we see. A lot of unvaccinated travelers in other countries are still subject to, the testing and the isolation periods. So phase 5 is travel for unvaccinated children, effective 18th of November. Vaccinated children under the age of 12 will be allowed to travel with vaccinated adult tourists. Cruise tourism remains prohibited.
Well,
the last phase, which is called the welcome back phase, which is
welcome back.
Which here's the thing, which is I hope I'm reading that word right. It's kind of blurry. I'm going to assume that it says reintroduced, maybe not. But by the 27th of January 2022, assessment continues of COVID-19 in the local and international context to determine when and how to proceed with further relaxations of restrictions, including cruise tourism. So let me tell you, the Cayman Islands gets 500 million points for this, because this gives people an idea of what things look like. And it lets them know quite clearly that if this thing can't happen, this thing won't happen. This gives people an idea of what things look like and can look like if things go according.
It shows.
This also lets people know what role they play in the plan.
Right. The thing is, like, you again, you have to have a goal. You have to have a goal. Yes, we might not get to the goal overnight. Yes, we might have times where on the path to the goal things are difficult. Yes, the dates and the timelines can all be adjusted based on what's happening and what the situation is. But we have a goal. Clearly defined goal.
Yes.
Oh, it's an assessed, by the way. So assessed. So the welcome back will be assessed. It's an assessment in a guarantee. It's an assessment to see where we will go next.
Mm-hmm. And this is all done in a nice little infographic, correct? Which I'm sure would then spark other questions and conversation of the policymakers in Cayman, and so it's easy. And let me not say easy, but let's say I would assume that if you were able to have the discussions necessary to come up with this, then you would have a lot of the answers that people may have coming out of this. All right. So, hopefully that is the path we're on, and that is the type of mentality that we have going forward. I think it's necessary. I think that's how we need to really operate moving forward. Yeah, you know what? I was here thinking. I was driving yesterday up College Street, and ran into some guys who let me know that they daily don't miss a day. So shout out to the Island Tea crew right there in College Street,
There's an Island Tea crew?
There's an Island Tea crew right there in College Street, big up yourself for one time.
Why?
Appreciate it big time. But I tell you, we got the best fans here.
Actually listen to us?
Yeah, and like
what?
the thing that I am so humbled by is that it's people from different walks of life, people from different age groups, different sides of the spectrum, whether political, whether social, religious, and I just happy that we able to connect with so many different people. Like it's really humbling to me, like when people come up to me and be like, yo, whatever, I listen to the show and and sometimes we even have conversations.
Actually said that he loves the show. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Because we give them information.
What? You're supposed to be smarter than us.
I'm like, what?
But yeah, man, big up to them guys there one time, man. Like it was real cool connecting with them.
Tell the people I'm not going to know. They ain't going to just disappear.
Okay, you see what's going on there now? You see what's going on there now?
Okay.
You see what's going on there now? Now the fans them overseas
Oh, Lord.
feeling away.
Oh, Lord. I'm sorry. No, we wasn't saying that.
Okay.
Big up to all.
Bye.
Also big up to all the people who daily who aren't really in sync or even Kitisha to begin with.
Yes.
I have another friend, another Kevin, who listens to us from Trinidad almost daily. So it's really humbling that we're able to connect with so many different people. Like,
right?
really appreciate you guys, man. Trust me.
Why just tell you? Tell the people you're going.
Oh, yeah, I'm leaving. Not forever. Just for the last hour. Yeah, I have a appointment now, so I'm gonna have to step out.
Leave just me and Kevon here.
I think I'm leaving our friends and family in good hands.
If things malfunction, it's Azem's fault.
No, okay.
No, it's actually Jade's fault.
Okay,
Let's
I was just gonna let her get it off, but hey.
No, yeah. If you were here, it wouldn't happen. So yeah, whatever happened is your fault.
Sorry for having a life outside of Island Tea, Jade.
How could you? How dare you?
I don't know what I was thinking. But yeah, guys. So I'm gonna take my leave now. Big up yourselves. Appreciate you guys again. Trust me.
And prefer me and Kevon.
I will be. I will be.
I'm at the fence. Whoever listening, just set up a prayer for me and Kevon.
I will.
That we make it to the
praying
next
as well.
hour.
No man, y'all got this.
All right.
So anyway, take a break and come back.
Yeah, man.
Well, and we'll take a break and y'all come back.
You got so many jokes.
If we get to come back.
Boy. But yeah, let's take a quick break and be right back with more Island Tea and WINNMedia Scan. Stay tuned.
Superior performance, captivating exterior, elevated comfort, exhilarating power, iconic features. Jeep is here. Available now at Horchfoot's Automotive.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib. It's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon, mine is Azem featuring Jade,
Wait, that's
Johnson, Gwenisha, Gwyneth, Crass and Crude.
I can't wait for the day for y'all to just not do all of that.
Nope, not happening.
Okay, cool.
So,
I tried.
So what we're going to jump into now is more awesome news for you guys locally first, before we go regionally, then internationally.
If we get
talk
there.
about Culturama.
Yes, what's happening over in Nevis?
Culturama 2021 has had its activities pushed back to September.
Not shocked.
Yeah. So Culturama is still on, even though for the last 2 weeks, the Federation was under a 24-hour lockdown, which has caused the pushback of some of the events. The Honorable Eric Evelyn, in his capacity as the Minister of Culture in the Nevis Island administration, spoke to the adjustments that had to be made because of the lockdown. The Miss Culture Swimwear and Mr. Cool contest were cancelled, and some of the events had to be scaled back. Patrons were still able to have some semblance of Culturama this year, with the climax to happen during Independence Weekend in September. Evelyn shared those proposed days during the July 13th sitting of the Nevis Island Assembly. So, not bad news, but
not bad
Culturama
news.
is still happening, just been pushed back.
Yeah.
So
And hey,
now it's going to be
that weekend
around
is
the Independence Weekend.
Yeah, and I don't think there's generally a lot of things happening around Independence Weekend, except for like Independence themed stuff. So I think that's a good weekend for them to do some, festivities. Davis going to sink like an inch around that weekend, because all the petitions, once they are able to, will be going over. As usual.
Yeah. So, it's still happening. Just, Somebody asked me earlier if we still get the Culturama holidays.
If we still the holiday was not for Culturama.
Yeah, but people just think it's a Culturama holiday. So
No, the holiday is happening either way.
regardless, but have no fear, the holiday is still there.
That's all people. That's all people care about.
Oh boy,
Kitty divisions. Y'all funny.
What else? Let's talk about some regional news. Ay. So Jade's picks.
Oh, you can stop shouting out that.
Jade's picks. So 20 bodies in a boat were possibly originated from the west coast of Africa. So the Royal Turks and Caicos Islands police force believe that the human remains that were discovered from a vessel found drifting near Grand Turk originated from the west coast of Africa. In his latest update, Commissioner of Police Trevor Boating says that work is continuing to identify the deceased persons with the assistance of international law enforcement partners and United Kingdom diplomatic channels. He said, "We have been working closely with our partners in the UK and other international law enforcement agencies to work as quickly and efficiently as possible to identify those who were found deceased and establish the circumstances that led to their death."
Yikes.
In Her Majesty's coroner has been heavily involved in that regard. It is believed that deceased persons were originated from the west coast of Africa, and neither the Turks and Caicos Islands nor the region was their intended destination. Although the details of the intended journey is yet to be established, they believe the vessel is linked to a similar vessel found in the waters of Tobago. They said that they are liaising with the authorities there to see if they can link.
I was just about to say, this sounds like one of the stories that we've done recently when the same thing about Tobago. And yeah, that's really sad because you know how far that is? For you to be able to mentally prepare for a journey across the water and be on a boat that long, not being even sure if you'll make it. You have to be going through some real crisis.
Yeah.
Like that's wild to me. But condolences
once upon
to
a
those
time, it took a long time to go from Bastia to Nevis. So
imagine coming from Africa. A flight
It's
from
called the
Africa
Narrows.
is hours. Bruh.
Like what, 15 hours?
Imagine
15 some
on a
hours?
boat. No. That's sad.
So, why? Ay. Yeah. So, let's also talk about some more regional news. This one is out of St. Lucia, and the Royal St. Lucia Police Force has disclosed in a statement on Monday that island-wide motorcades have been cancelled and banned. So the announcement was made after following island-wide political motorcades by the various political parties as they gear up for the July 26th general election. Videos that made the rounds on social media on Sunday clearly highlighted supporters in clear violation of the COVID-19 protocols put in place specifically for campaigning. These include...
When you finish.
I think I know exactly what you're going to say, but...
Boy.
These include participants of the motorcade remaining in their vehicles to reduce large... What I'm talking about is the protocols put in place for campaigning. These include participants of the motorcade remaining in their vehicles to reduce large crowds that may be associated with them and mandatory mask wearing, both of which were not seen to be practiced in the video. A meeting was held at the office of the Commissioner of Police on Monday with representatives from the National Green Party, St. Lucia Labour Party, and the United Workers Party. During the meeting, discussions were held regarding the occurrences at the various political activities on Sunday, where clear violations of the agreed campaign protocols as set out by the Ministry of Health and general COVID-19 protocols were noted. So,
you see, I think is way more than just the COVID-19 protocols? Because I'm pretty sure you saw the videos, Kevon. Lucia was wilding out.
It was a carnival. That wasn't no cracker. That wasn't a motorcade.
Bro, people was hanging out the windows. They were on top of the cars. Like, you saw the video with the car that rolled down the little hill thing.
Yep.
What was happening? This
One
was
too
way
many.
more than people just not, staying in the cars to reduce crowds and stuff. People were literally putting their lives and the lives of other people at risk.
Yeah, it was a bit much, to be quite honest.
A bit? I was like, have people lost their minds?
Being modest.
Oh my gosh, that was a scary situation to watch, because, like, as I said, I feel like campaigning and election times, they do something different to people. I don't know what it is.
It does really get people going. I don't understand it because I can't see myself doing it.
Neither. I am not hanging out of nobody's car for no political party. Putting my life at risk for no political party. I'm sorry.
Why would I do any of this when I could just be at Bob's eating the wings?
And then go vote on the day of election. What a wild concept. You know, putting yourself. Yeah, you're putting yourself in a situation where you might not even make it to vote for this party that you're putting yourself in danger for.
Yeah, but seriously, if you saw the videos, I don't know which of the listeners, viewers saw the video, but if you saw some of the videos, honestly, it was way over the top. And a lot of it were like, the health and safety of individuals were instant concern when you watch the video, because people were hanging out of windows and people
They're on top of the cars.
were tumbling down a hill. I mean, there was a lot happening.
Plenty road accidents.
Accidents.
I know the street police, the traffic police were stressed fully out on that day.
And the thing is too, what they're complaining about is not only were people not being safe, but they put protocols in place to allow people to still express their, political affiliations and whatever through motorcades. But they put protocols in place to really try to keep people safe and secure and everything. And none of that was observed.
They didn't even try.
No masks, people outside the cars, people mingling, dancing together. Yeah.
Boy, oh boy.
Where do we go from here?
Yes, let's jump into something else.
Right. So let's see what else we could cover, because wild. Let's also talk about Haiti. So, some Haiti updates. There's a Haitian police have issued wanted bulletin for former Colombian military official. So Haiti has issued the wanted bulletin for the military official who it claims had traveled to the French-speaking CARICOM country at least one day before the assassination of the president Jovenel Moïse last Wednesday. Haitian National Police has in its notice described Mario Antonio Palacios, okay, let's just call him Mario, a very dangerous person, and appealed to Haitians to contact law enforcement authorities should he be seen. According to the Haitian police, the man had traveled with several former soldiers involved in the assassination of President Moïse. It's said that he left Colombia for the Dominican Republic on Friday, June 4th, traveling to the El Dorado airport. The authorities here said that he was on the same Avianca flight with other members of the commando unit that allegedly shot Moïse 12 times, killing him instantly at his private residence overlooking the capital.
Bruh.
I mean, this is just like the developments are just wild. Like, they're just so.
But at least, you know what?
How do I put it?
I'm not sure.
Blatant. Like, everything is just like people showing up days
amplified
before
to you?
with a bunch of yeah, like, you would expect that this was carried out in a calculated way and all secretive, but they're finding people with 700 guns in their house and all kind of things, and now you see people showing up to the airports days before with a whole military. Like, these just feel a little too obvious for me.
I just feel like we are receiving these updates at a very fast pace. I mean, usually
Right.
when I feel like usually when things like these happen, it takes some time for them to figure out, okay, well, who are involved and how did they carry this out, and the reasons and all of these things. But in this case, I guess I'm not sure if it's because of the target, or because he was such somebody of such high status that they're moving things along quickly, but we are getting some very fast updates, and the more things come out, the wilder the story gets, because we have military people from Colombia, top military people at that, involved. And I think there was a video of a police chase with the assailants that was released yesterday. I haven't gotten to watch it yet, but I'll share it with you when I do. But there's a video of the actual car chase that took place right after.
It's crazy.
It is. It is very, and I can only imagine that people who are in similar positions, that it makes you think about how it could happen to you, because this was a whole president, and you see what happened. So it's like, if this could happen to him, like this could definitely happen to me. People in power in that regard. Boy, that's scary. You could imagine how all of them had to like beef up their security, like hire more people, and I just hope they get
It's really
this.
crazy to wrap your mind
It is
around
definitely crazy. I hope they're able to find somewhere forward, because this is just setting them back amongst all the other things that they have to deal with.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know. And just the developments that come out of this is just like just kind of wild every time.
I'm waiting to see who was in charge of all of this. Like, I feel like the way they're going to figure out who was the mastermind. You think? Am I being too optimistic?
I feel like when we find out who was in charge of this, will be a scapegoat. I don't think it would actually be the person. I don't think it would actually be the person who was responsible. On top of that, I feel like multiple entities were responsible. I just feel like somebody's assailant got there first. Because we find in so many different people, like, somebody was arrested the other day. Now this other person pop up and is wanted. So it's just like, how are so many people involved? I feel like maybe word got out that the assassination was about to happen. So now whichever bodies were present, say, I need to do it first. And they just all dispatched it. And, it's just a who come first kind of thing. This is just insane.
It is. And it's funny enough, somebody actually expressed those same sentiments yesterday when they said that they feel like the people who have been arrested may be the scapegoats, and that they weren't actually the people who carried out this hit, essentially. But I guess it's left to see what else they come out with, because I'm pretty sure there's a lot of information that over the next couple of weeks and months will roll out. But let's do something. Let's do one more article quickly before we jump into this interview. Let's see what's there in the box of things to pick from.
Jade's pick. Should I pick a one?
Can you stop?
Let's do. Let's do some Olympic news. Something a little removed from all of this.
Okay.
So let's talk about the World Swim Body. It denounces Olympic cheating by Uzbekistan.
Yikes.
So an attempt at cheating to qualify Uzbekistan swimmers for this month's Tokyo Olympics was blocked by sport's highest court. The World Swim Body, FINA, said on Monday that they denounced the nefarious behavior. FINA said the Court of Arbitration for Sport rejection an appeal by the Uzbek Swimming Federation against its refusal to authorize manipulated results from 2 race meets. These people were desperate and just said, listen, let's just fudge some numbers, please.
Oh boy. That's exactly what it seems like.
Basically, that's all it is. FINA found out that Uzbekistan was trying to cheat
And they found out from
shut it
another
down.
competitor, I
Yeah.
think.
They found out so the alleged cheating was alerted by a swimmer from India who took part in the second meet in Uzbekistan in April. So
India was like, no.
yeah, Likith Prima made the allegations, including that he was offered bribes by Uzbek officials in a film he posted online, including race footage and result sheets.
Wow.
So he posted things that didn't match up with what the Uzbek team
He
said
had his
happened.
receipts.
And the Uzbek officials were like, hey, take it down, we'll pay you. and it didn't happen. So it was
The man came with his receipts, because it's like, imagine you train so hard and you do all of this work and you qualify, and then somebody who ain't qualified going to just be like, okay, well, I come in still. Like, that's not how it works. And then you try to bribe the man because he alerted everybody that y'all were cheating.
I mean, everybody loves a buyout, right?
But not him. Clearly not him. He said, nah, this ain't happening.
Ay. So there you go. There's your update.
You know
So,
what would have
Olympic
been, you know
news.
what would have sucked? Let's say, right, hypothetically, he had taken the money, right? And then...
And still tell?
No. No, he can't tell because now he implemented himself in a crime. But suppose he had taken the money and then the person who bought him off, the team, won. They beat him. You know how pissed he would have been?
Well, I don't think they would have won, because
You don't know.
they were fudging numbers. So
Yes,
they were,
but in this instance, they might have been fudging numbers. But they would have been like, okay, I qualify by whatever means. Let me put in the extra work. The extra work turned into you winning.
yeah,
I know you can't say
possible.
nothing because you took a bribe.
Yeah. But you know what happens too is a lot of large country, any country actually, they just try to put forward as many Olympic athletes as
Yeah.
possible, because seeing your flag and a name in a race is a big achievement in itself.
That is
So
true.
a lot of people, they don't really care if they know you're not gonna win, but sending you is a marketing move anyway. So they're gonna send you. So
Yeah.
I think that's probably what Uzbek was trying to do, just get people in a race so they could have some Uzbekistan flags in the lineup.
Oh,
But
that failed, boy.
India said nope.
So you go sometimes.
So it go.
One more?
We can do one more.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's see. Pick a small one. So let's start. This is some Ohio news out of the US. So the wrong patient gets a new kidney in a transplant mix-up at an Ohio hospital.
Yikes.
The Ohio hospital apologized on Monday after one of its patients received a kidney that was meant for someone else. 2 employees involved in the shocking mix-up have been placed on administrative leave, while officials at the Cleveland University Hospital investigate the incident. The person who was given the wrong kidney is expected to recover since the organ happened to be compatible. The healthcare system said that the other patient's surgery, however, has been delayed because of the error.
Yikes.
Someone has said, "We have offered our sincerest apologies to those patients and their families."
Huh? Listen, this was a blessing for somebody else and a terrible turn of
curse for
events.
somebody else?
Yeah.
Because my thing is, if the hospital had told me this, I would have tell them the famous petition saying, "Sorry, can't cool it."
I know, right? Because you obviously needed that kidney and you finally found one
You
that
had
is
your moment.
compatible, because these things just don't happen just like that. And you
It
finally
takes months of matching and testing and
for them to come back and be like, whoops, we put it in somebody else. Huh?
Wow.
I can't even
Honestly,
I can't even imagine. Like I would just literally faint away. I in the hospital anyway, probably, so I would have just faint away because what? And now imagine waking up to hear, oh, you got a wrong kidney, but it matches, at least, because
congratulations.
because there could have been an instance where this person's and the kidney wasn't compatible, so now a whole kidney waste. Or you think they would have taken it back out? I'm not sure if they could do that. I'm pretty sure.
They're gonna take it back out. I don't think they
But
would.
if it wasn't compatible, I mean.
The body would reject it and then they would have to take it back out.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
think.
So, but Lord, that would have been rough. And boy, And you know, and
listen,
it's funny.
you know.
I've seen a couple stories like these where patients have their wrong limb removed, they get the wrong procedure, and all these things. At this point, just rename the hospital after me because that's
Yeah, and I want
that's a
commission.
hell of a lawsuit.
Right? I mean, but the thing is, though, the person that benefited, I don't think they would sue because they ended up.
No, you
with
would be
something,
very audacious.
But they would still sue. I mean, they still have grounds to sue because they were subjected to a surgery that they weren't supposed to have.
That's
I'm
true.
guessing.
I mean, we're
at least
supposed to
not
have.
yet.
Yeah.
So you get a kidney and a payout. Why not?
You think they would, Lord? I mean,
Some legal teams might encourage it, and say, unless you could have opportunity to get some money, you want to try.
that's wild.
So.
That is wild.
Yeah. Well,
congratulations to that person on his new kidney. I hope it works out. And you know what's funny? We're speaking to a doctor next, so we could probably ask her how that would go.
So let's take a very short break, and then we will come back to more Island Tea on WINNMedia SKN. We will be right back.
Staying healthy has taken on a whole new meaning these days. So we ask, why do you put your health first?
As a business professional, I need to make the most out of my work days.
I'm a teacher and I want to be there for my students.
In sports, I have to be in top form for my team.
Motherhood, I just got to keep up with my kids.
Because my patients rely on me to be at my best.
Staying healthy is important for many of us, and Hanley Orange makes it easy. Just one 1,000 milligram tablet of vitamin C gives your immune system a flavorful boost, leaving you protected and feeling good for the day ahead. Hanley Orange Vitamin C. Just pop the cap, drop it in water, let it fizz, and enjoy. Part of the Hanley Orange family. Staying healthy has taken on a whole new meaning these days. So we ask, why do you put your health first?
As a business professional, I need to make the most out of my work days.
I'm a teacher and I want to be there for my students.
In sports, I have to be in top form for my team.
Motherhood, I just got to keep up with my kids.
Because my patients rely on me to be at my best.
Staying healthy is important for many of us, and Hanley Orange makes it easy. Just one 1,000 milligram tablet of vitamin C gives your immune system a flavorful boost, leaving you protected and feeling good for the day ahead. Hanley Orange Vitamin C. Just pop the cap, drop it in water, let it fizz, and enjoy. Part of the Hanley Orange family.
Welcome back to Island Tea with your faves, Kevon. Mine is Azem featuring Jade, Gwen Johnson. And it is time to jump into Eat Local with Dr. Dasima Martin. Welcome and good morning.
Oh, wait, Dasima Martin.
Morning. Thanks for having me.
Good
no
morning.
problem.
You look so pretty. Oh my gosh, how are you?
Right?
Thank you. Making me blush.
As always.
Right? How are you able to do all of this? Like, as a doctor, I mean, not saying that doctors won't have days where they look like this, but like during a pandemic, you don't look stressed and nothing.
I guess the stress doesn't show, and that's a good thing.
Definitely is. Definitely is. But how are you?
I'm good, actually. How are you guys?
Meh. Kevon, how are you?
Nah.
we are managing. We are managing.
Good to hear.
Yes. But, I mean, we introduced you as Dr. Dasima Martin. Can you tell the people a bit about yourself? I'm pretty sure they're interested to know who is this new doctor that we're introducing.
All right, no problem. So good morning, everyone out there listening. I'm Dr. Dasima Martin. I'm a general practitioner based in Jamaica. I'm Kititian, but I've been working in Jamaica ever since completing med school in 2017. I'm also a certified health and nutrition life coach. And that sums it up.
Oh wow, short and sweet,
Modestly.
but full of things, right? So how like you said you're Kititian, which you are. I mean, because we did go to high school around the same times and all of these things. But like,
Yes.
when did you realize like, okay, after completing school, I think I want to be a doctor and help people? When did you realize that?
I think it was probably after completing my first year of CFBC in 2010. I was weighing the options. I was like, I've always had a thing for the sciences. And when you look around, things that would enable you to be self-sufficient and still, do things that you love. I was like medicine, or I wanted to be a lab tech. And I weighed it out and I said, medicine might be the better option for me, because in the end, my goal is to, have my own practice, work for myself. And it just meshed with my values.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds good.
So you said you figured that out around for your first year of CFPC. Where were you before that? What career goal did you have in mind?
So at first I thought I wanted to be a lab tech. And I did a summer volunteering at the lab at JNF. But part of that experience involved me being a phlebotomist. So I had to spend a lot of time on the ward, like going to take blood from the patients, and just being exposed to that environment, the thought process just started shifting. Like, I think I can get used to this. This sounds like something that would suit me more than just being a lab tech. And then that's when everything changed. Even the actual degree that I decided to do at CFBC, because you had a choice if you wanted to do general studies, environmental studies. So in my first year, I didn't do the pure and applied maths that you need to get the natural science degree in order to apply to med school. And then for my second year, I decided to take that course in order to get that degree that would make it easier for me to apply to UE for med school.
Oh wow.
Right. And then you got to UE to do med school and everything. And what was that process like? Because I know people, when you say med school, that is exactly what you get. So tell us what that process is, because I know a lot of people listening and probably saying, yeah, I want to go to med school. Give them a realistic walkthrough of what that is like.
Realistic walkthrough? Challenging. It is very challenging, especially if you're coming from working for a year, so you took that time off and you weren't really studying on, regularly, coming fresh out of CFBC. So it took, some time to get back into the study groove and then the workload, like, oh my gosh, the classes all day, and then you still would have to go home and catch up on the stuff that, flew over your head while you were in class, because it was just classes back to back to back. The sleep pattern was just completely thrown off. The eating pattern was thrown off. I feel like the first semester, I felt like I was just thrown out into the ocean. I was told, you need to learn to swim now. But eventually with practice, once you get more organized, it is manageable, but it definitely is a struggle. So if you're not 100% sure that this is what you want to do, you have to decide that before you go into med school, because it takes time. It takes time. It takes sacrifice. It was a challenging 5 years.
5 years, wow! I forgot that it's a longer period than most things, and I mean, it should be, because people have their lives in your hands now, and as a doctor, you have to make the best medical decision for your different patients, and no patient is the same. So I just can't even imagine, because first of all, I'm terribly squeamish, like blood and surgery and all of that. Hard pass. So I am sure that it takes a very strong-minded person to know that this is the job, this is the career that they're going to, and this is what comes with it.
It definitely does.
Oh boy. Ooh. But yes, so now you're a general practitioner, and you said you are really into health and nutrition. I actually saw that recently you posted a challenge. It's a green challenge. I've actually been participating, but I just haven't gotten the time. I keep forgetting to tag you. Yeah, because like I saw it, and it was around the time that I was about to get back into my health, because I want to look like Kevon. And
no, I've been participating too in my head.
And so yeah, I've been trying the green smoothie, and with that though, like I'm doing it because one, I'm sure that there are a lot of health benefits, some of them that I read upon already and all of that, and then I saw you post it and I'm like, I don't think a doctor would lead me wrong here. So what are some of the health benefits with this one?
Okay, so for the green smoothie, I just thought, well, starting the challenge in general, I just found it was a good way to get people to, interact and probably just enjoy themselves while, taking part or starting a new health journey instead of feeling like it's an obligation or a chore or something that they're really, just forcing themselves to do. So like the challenge was a good way to get people involved. And yes, there are some benefits, plenty benefits. So one of the major benefits that I know most persons like with the green smoothie is that it promotes weight loss. Another one is that it boosts your immune system because, the greens, it's packed with antioxidants, vitamin C, your major, your other major vitamins. It's packed with iron as well. So that's one benefit. It's also anti-inflammatory. It's an antioxidant as well. And the thing about the green smoothie is that you can play around with the ingredients. So some persons, when they hear about a green smoothie, they think it's just spinach and celery and cucumber and it's tasteless and I have to force myself to drink all of this. But really with the green smoothie, you can incorporate some of your favorite fruits that can add flavor and make it enjoyable for you. So that was the aim of the green smoothie challenge. And
so Kevon, you had a question?
Yeah, but it's a bit of a topic shift.
Oh, okay. Okay, let me ask mine first then. So yeah, when did you realize that you needed to put some more emphasis on health and nutrition? Because I feel like, speaking for St. Kitts, since I live here, I feel like you often see people who don't take care of themselves. Their health is not their first priority. And now we have a whole pandemic to deal with, and the actual disease, once you are not your best self, it worsens. So like, when did you realize that this was something that you needed to tackle? I mean, a doctor should always have this at the forefront, but to put emphasis on this, when did you realize that this was, it's time?
Okay. So it actually started with me first, and it was coming on to my last year in med school, down to the wire. I was eating very unhealthy. I had a horrible sleep pattern. Like, everything about my lifestyle then was very unhealthy. I would eat anything at any time. Being up at 4 a.m., there would be donuts next to me, sodas, just anything, because at that time you didn't really have all the time in the world to prepare healthy meals. And even if you tried to order, there weren't many like healthy options around. So it was always fast food, some Chinese, some KFC. And then coming on to the end of that, when I saw how much weight I gained and how unhealthy and unfit I felt, I just felt, just feel disgusting, like bloated, the clothes not fitting right. Is okay, you have to make a change. And then when I thought about it, I was like, I'm not the only person that probably is struggling with this, because I know the excuse most of the time is that, I don't have time to cook something healthy. I don't have time to meal prep. I don't have time to go to the gym. So that was when I first realized that, we need to place more emphasis on, health, taking care of ourselves. And then going through internship, I saw it a lot too, because, you would take through various subspecialties, especially on medicine, like obesity was a major issue. Then I went on to primary care, where you saw more of these cases, your hypertension, your diabetes, and one of the risk factors was always some sedentary lifestyle, not exercising, not eating properly. And then when I decided to stay in primary care, and I joined the NCD program, so it's like a program that tries to manage non-communicable diseases like diabetes and hypertension, I saw that there really was a need for that. And then last year during the pandemic, I said, people always come to me and ask me for advice related to health and fitness. Why not get certified in this field? And that's what I decided to do. And from since then, I created the Instagram page that's really geared towards providing tips, motivation, and little things like that to help people start a fitness journey. That's where it started.
I think this Instagram is a great idea because I know people have a lot of basic questions that they want to ask healthcare providers, and they don't really want to go take the visit. So I think, your page, which I always find myself on, just reading the tips and watching the videos that you post, I think they always have some great information because, as simple as it is, it's something I could try to integrate into my day and integrate into my routine because it's easy stuff. So kudos to you for doing that, and I really like that you have it going on and that it's active. Because some people, including myself, we like to start things and don't continue. But the question I wanted to ask is, you're practicing in Jamaica right now, and you did all of your education in St. Kitts and moved on to do school in Jamaica and then stayed in Jamaica. What influenced that decision?
I think at the time it was for the work experience because, it's a larger population and you get to see all of the weird and wonderful cases. So I just really wanted to get that experience before I thought about moving back. And so far that has been happening, the population here is 3 million. So, you see almost every single thing that you can think about. And I think that is key in order to be a good physician. You need to be able to manage most of the cases properly. And I feel like that comes with exposure and, managing those cases for yourself, not just reading about it, because everything isn't just textbook. Right? You have those ones that are atypical cases, so we actually get to see that. So I feel like the hands-on approach and staying here to get a little more experience really works out to be, a very good decision for me.
Well, you mentioned how much of a population Jamaica has. It's quite large. We all are currently dealing with a pandemic. How is that? How has that been? What has been your experience through this whole pandemic and dealing with corona and people and, trying to keep people healthy? How has that been? Yikes.
It has been an experience. I mean, things are slowing down a bit now, but this time last year, I just felt like they threw my entire world upside down. My life wasn't mine anymore. Everything was COVID, all of these emergency meetings. And let's not talk about the fact that we were under quarantine and curfew. And, as a medical doctor, you have to work long hours. And sometimes you just want to get something to eat before you get home and there's no place open. So it just, it was a struggle, but eventually it just became the norm. So for example, where I work, we are a testing site. So we test clients for COVID-19 every day. At first it was nerve-wracking. I would always be nervous, did I put on my protective gear properly? I don't want to put myself at risk. I really just want to get through this. And then now it's just second nature. You go in the room, you set up, you do your swabs, and it's basically putting in an IV access now. So I guess with time, it just became the norm for us out here. I mean, it's still a burden, it's still mentally taxing, but we just found ways to cope with it.
Wow. And you could tell us what are some of the ways that you've found that work when it comes to coping with COVID?
For me, I feel so last year, for example, when everywhere was closed, including the gyms, still being physically active was one of the major ways that I was able to cope with the stress. So I even went out and I bought at-home gym equipment, the barbells, the weights, everything, the kettlebell swings, everything, so that I can stay active, because it was a way for me to, relieve the stress. And I feel like when I do early morning workouts, it set the pace for the day and I just get an energy boost. So that was something that I couldn't eliminate. At that time too, especially how most places weren't open, just doing meal preps and cooking regularly was a way for me to deal with my stress. I know it sounds weird, but at that time, it was just a coping mechanism for me. I had menus prepared almost every week. This is what I'm going to cook. I look forward to going to the grocery, getting the meals, getting the ingredients to make the meals. Another thing too was staying connected with friends and family, because during the pandemic, more persons, I mean, it's good to give advice and, like when they ask you the medical questions, you answer, but it was nice to have like a group of friends and like family members that would just talk to you about everything non-medical. So they made you feel like human in the midst of all of that. It wasn't always about COVID-19. There were certain persons that I could just, FaceTime and we'll just chat and laugh and just make me forget about everything that was going on in the world. So still having that type of relationship, friendship, those connections during that time was vital for me to keep my mental health in check. So those were the main things.
What is it like though? I know a lot of healthcare professionals have been feeling like the burnout from COVID because it's just going, no breaks. And even down to you mentioning that conversations were just no longer conversations. It was some, kind of people always seeking medical advice. What does that feel like? Because I think people at some point forget that you guys are human and not just doctors 24/7.
Very true.
Ready to give medical advice. What is that like? What does that feel like?
Sometimes I just try to block it out. I try to sometimes it is stressful or it does seem a bit like burdensome, but because they're not doing it on purpose and they're genuinely asking questions because they don't know, I'm always willing to answer at the end of it all. But I just try to, not make it a habit. Like, for example, you can message me certain hours of the day and I would always respond, especially if it's something medical. But later in the evenings, if it's something that isn't urgent and I might see something about COVID-19 popping up in my phone, I would just try to, put the phone away and gather myself, and then maybe the next day I would respond to like while I'm getting ready for work or something like that. So me managing my time and knowing when to respond to certain messages, when to answer certain phone calls, especially when you knew exactly what to expect, was a way for me to cope with that. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah,
for sure.
And even with that, like, how do you even manage the misinformation, especially because imagine going to school for all these years and putting in the work, and day in and day out you're studying, and you get your degree and a whole medical doctor, and people just out here discrediting the information that you give them. People who have no idea what they're talking about.
I just try not to take it personal. I try not to take it personal, especially if it's like close friends and, family members. Talk to them, not in a condescending way, but say, I get that you want to send out the information, but before you send these broadcasts about COVID-19, you need to fact check. You can't just send anything out. So when we were in the heat of it and all those broadcasts were being sent out, that was one of my major issues. Like, stop sending broadcasts that you couldn't back up the facts for. Do the research. In cases like that, I would actually say, please come and ask me first if this is correct. And you said, because if I got it, I'm pretty sure you sent this to everybody on your contact list. So that was the hardest things. But after a while, I just had to turn a blind eye for my own sanity. If you came to me directly or if you sent me that message, I would try to, address it in the moment. But otherwise than that, I just turn a blind eye, because if you had to take on everyone or every single message that was sent out that was misleading, you'll probably lose your mind. So you just have to block out certain things.
Yeah, because even up to today, a year and a half later, we're still having people send out misinformation and post whatever comes to their mind, whatever conspiracy video they see. They just, oh, this is true, let me post it for other people to see it. It is such...
And how do you, as a doctor, how do you handle that when people come to you with misinformation? Like, I know the latest thing, I don't know if you've had experienced it as yet, is the whole, now my arm is a magnet thing. How do you manage those things? Like, people coming into your workspace and telling you, I am now a magnet, and there's my arm is now a magnet. Fix me. Like, how do you handle those things?
Luckily, I haven't had anyone come to me with that, but I've had persons come to me asking about, the reasoning behind the vaccines, like, what is the goal, There's so many conspiracy theories. I let them, talk, I listen to them, and at the end, I just give them my point of view from a scientific standpoint, not anything biblical, religious, anything to do with politics. I'm like, this is what I know. This is COVID-19. These vaccines were created to help to, combat COVID-19. I mean, I know your concern is that they were created in a, I would say, rushed manner, because most times with vaccines, they go through years of trials, testings, find out what are the short-term effects, the long-term side effects, but based on the situation at hand, we didn't have time to do that. So I understand where you might be a bit hesitant, but my thing is always facts, right? I would even pull up articles. One patient didn't believe that this was the only thing in the AstraZeneca vaccine. And I said, here, I have the article right here. I could list out all the ingredients to you. This is all that is in it, right? Based on the papers published. I can only show you what is published by the manufacturers. If after I talk to you here, you're still convinced that, we shouldn't take the vaccine for whatever reason, I really cannot force you. But what I try to do is give them scientific facts, right? And let them know what are the benefits, what are the pros, what are the cons of not taking it. At the end of the day, your decision is yours, but I really pray and hope that after I have the discussion with them, they're more motivated and they feel a little more comfortable and relaxed to take the vaccine. That's the main aim.
Well, besides even the vaccine, what, from a health and nutrition standpoint, what do you try to get people to do? Like, what advice do you give them? What do you tell them they should consume? How do you tell them how to improve their life? Because there's people who just are not going to take any kind of vaccine, so they have to do something else. So what do you tell them as an alternative, health-wise?
Okay. Well, it's always individualized to the person, but in terms where you said for the vaccine, so in terms of those persons who are unwilling to take the vaccine, always encourage them to do things that would boost the immune system. Like, you have to eat healthy, you have to work out. If you have underlying chronic illnesses that put you at a high risk, for example, high blood pressure, diabetes, obesity, right? Any cancers, you have to make sure that those things are under control, because being uncontrolled, you're more susceptible to severe symptoms and, God forbid, death. So that's how I would talk to them, especially the persons with underlying medical illnesses. And the funny thing is, those are the persons that I found are more hesitant to taking the vaccine.
Definitely.
Whereas the younger folks now, they want the vaccine. I need to get vaccinated. I need life to go back to some sort of normalcy. So that's my approach for them.
And what are some things that you think that they should be eating? If there are any things, I mean, health and nutrition is a wide spectrum, but what are some key things that you think people should be adding to their diet if they haven't already started?
In terms of the vaccine, I mean, it's really hard to say that there's anything specific you can add as an alternative to not
COVID
for COVID, so things that are proven to boost the immune system. So your vitamin C, other fruits and vegetables, other foods that are rich in antioxidants. For example, like with the green smoothies, you get the antioxidants from the kale, the spinach. Drink plenty of water. You need to get adequate sleep, because persons forget that when you're sleep deprived, your immune system is also compromised. Staying physically fit, working out at least 3 times a week. And when I say workout, not just walking on the side of the road and talking, like you actually have to do something brisk and increase the heart rate and actually start to sweat for it to be considered a true workout. You have to give your heart some stress in order for it to be considered a workout. So things like that I would encourage them to do, and still, tell them to consider the vaccine.
Yeah, I know you're probably tired of telling people and explaining to people why. Yeah, I would not trade what I do for being a doctor, especially right now, because the stress levels, especially, I don't know how y'all deal with it. I have to tip my hat to y'all.
outside of everything, I still love what I do, you know, but just like with everything, there's, you know, the ups and downs, but I love what I do. So I guess that's why, like you said, Jade, earlier, I look stress-free because I actually love what I do. So,
and you have to, especially in fields like yours, because it's not like, you know what, I fed up with this, let me go do something else. Like, you put in work and you put in time and and money, and
not after all those years and all that money spent on tuition. That's why if this, you have to know that this is what you want to do, because it's a lot of sacrifice.
Yeah, definitely. I've heard the same sentiment expressed by different doctors and people in the medical field. So trust me, I know that is something that you have to sit down and put your mind to, and you have to go for it. It's not no halfway. It's not no, oh, midway through, forget it, I'm going to do something else. You have to commit. And we are thankful for all of the doctors that decided to commit. and see this too, because without you guys, I don't know where we would be. But Dasima, sadly, time has run down on us. Is there any last words that you would like to leave our listeners and viewers with?
To stay safe. Please stay safe, guys. I know that we're thinking, okay, everything is 100% because we've gotten the vaccine. I mean, the vaccine is the step forward, but please, guys, continue to adhere to your COVID-19 protocols, wear your mask, practice social distancing, and proper hand hygiene. And thanks again for having me, guys.
Anytime. It was such fun. Anytime. But yes, guys, that is it for us today. Another episode of Island Tea has came and went so quickly. I didn't even see the time running down like that. But
it's 30 minutes already. Wow.
Right? But it is hump day. We've made it to halfway. Halfway. We're almost there, guys.
Already.
Us, at least, because I know you, Dr. Dasima, you have to work throughout.
Yes, I have a full day ahead.
Yeah. But we don't. So we'll pray for you, and we'll make sure we drink our green smoothies.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yes, we will drink a green smoothie today in honor of your hard work and excellence.
I appreciate it.
Right, Kevon?
Of course.
But yes, guys,
it's easy.
It is. I really enjoy mine. The ingredients, I mix them up daily, but the base is some greens. I actually almost threw celery in mine yesterday, but I don't know if I like the taste of celery, so I was
Which one, the celery?
Sorry? Yes, celery. I don't know.
I prefer mine with spinach and kale. And banana or pineapples at the base, but you know, a little flavor.
Yeah, but bananas are essential because they overpower everything. But yes, guys, drink a green smoothie today. Celebrate your health. Make sure you follow the protocols, as the good doctor said. Make sure you stay healthy. We're not at the end of this pandemic, even though it feels like, you know, things are changing and getting a little better. We are definitely not at the end of this. But before we go, as usual, we have to hear from our doctor. You need to hear this saying from Kevon. You might be able to implement it into your daily routine. So before we go, we have to hear from the man with many names that I will not call out because I am not Azem. Mr. Okay, I'll call you the Slim God and Chopstick Puppy today. Fine? Deal?
Okay, I'll accept.
Thanks. But yes, Mr. Kevon Hanley, take us out.
Because remember that you can't be everybody's cup of tea because you is not a mug. See you tomorrow.
Bye, guys.
Bye.